One of the questions that I get asked the most is, how can I practice speaking when I am alone? In fact, some of the best speaking practice you can do is when you are alone. So today we're going to break it down into two parts. We're going to talk about what you will be saying and how you will be saying it. So let's get started. So we're going to start off with how you are going to be speaking, how you are going to be doing this practice. You can think of this as 4 different levels of commitment. The higher that you go, the more effective your speaking practice will be. So let's get started on the ground floor with level 1. At level 1, you are going to be practicing your speaking at the same time as you are doing something that you already do. So think about things like washing the dishes, maybe taking a shower, walking the dog, or driving to work. And if you're feeling particularly adventurous and you get public transport, you can put your phone to your ear and pretend to be making a phone call. The reason that this is such a powerful way to build a speaking practice habit is that by linking your speaking practice to something that you already do, you can start to associate them so that when you get in the shower or you start washing the dishes, it starts to feel really natural to do your speaking practice at this time and really easy to fit it into your day. Level 2 is to set a stopwatch or a timer in order to measure the amount of time that you spend speaking. This is a big step up from level 1 because it requires you to take time out of your day and make that commitment to practicing your speaking. If you set a timer which goes down from a set time towards 0, then you can practice being more precise, more concise, and more clear with the things that you are saying. Sure, you may be able to speak for 5 or 6 or 9 or 10 minutes on a topic, but can you be just as clear in 2 minutes? Maybe you can talk about a question like, tell me about yourself, or what is your biggest weakness in a job interview for a long time, but can you get your point across in that shorter amount of time? Setting a stopwatch which goes up in time will help you practice elaborating on a theme or topic and saying more about it. For instance, if you were trying to answer the question, who is your favorite singer? Then sure, you can say, my favorite singer is Bob Dylan. However, if you've given yourself an obligation to speak about this for 4 or 5 minutes, well, you will have to say some more things. I really like this album. Some of my favorite songs by him are these. I would love to see him in concert. I remember my first memory of Bob Dylan's music was this. Setting a challenge to speak for longer will require you to be more creative with what you are saying. Okay, let's move on to level 3. At level 3, we will be using the voice recording app on your phone or a computer program to record yourself speaking. Now, I know that sounds scary because if you are recording yourself speaking, then you know that I am going to ask you to listen to yourself speaking. No one likes the sound of their own voice, I promise you that. And almost everyone I suggest this to says, it's a great idea, but I really don't like listening to recordings of myself speaking. However, this is a really powerful tool. If you are a higher level speaker, then you can listen back to what you have said and self-correct to some extent. You can listen for grammar mistakes. For instance, when have you failed to put an article in a sentence? Or when have you used the wrong preposition by accident? You can listen for vocabulary opportunities. For instance, when have you used the same word 3 or 4 or 5 times in a short amount of time? That is maybe an opportunity to go and look up some alternative words. And you can listen for sentences that you have stumbled over and had difficulty making. These are opportunities to sit down with a pen and paper, write out what you were trying to say, and then maybe figure out 2 or 3 other ways that you can say that sentence and communicate that idea. Level 4 is only slightly different from level 3, so if you have decided to make this level of commitment to your speaking practice, then there's only a little bit more to go to get to the top. With level 4, we are going to do exactly the same as with level 3, except we are going to offset our speaking and our listening back and reviewing. So, for instance, if you record something on a Monday, listen to it on Tuesday. Even better, put 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 days between your recording and when you listen to it. The more time that you put between making a recording and listening back and reviewing it, the more you will have forgotten what you were trying to say, and the more it will just feel like someone else speaking. This is great because unless you communicate clearly using clear sentences and good pronunciation, then you are not going to be able to understand it. And if you can't understand what you were trying to say, well, neither can anyone else. Before we move on to exactly what you are going to say, let me remind you that I am a full-time professional business English coach and tutor. If you would like to book a one-on-one call with me, then you can follow the link down in the description or head over to www.breakoutbusinessenglish.com, and I look forward to meeting you. Okay, let's move on. I know that many people worry about what they are going to say. Do you just start talking to yourself, for instance, about anything? Should you read an article or sing a song? No, none of these things. In fact, I would recommend against just reading an article or a book out loud. Speaking is a creative activity. You need to think about what you are going to say, build the sentence in your head, and then pronounce all of the words that you want to say. Simply reading from a page does not actually practice your speaking. Sure, it may practice your pronunciation, but that is only one part of what we are trying to achieve here. So here are some great ways that you can really practice speaking as a creative activity. When deciding what to speak about, it can really help to divide your speaking practice up into the theme of different tenses. So these will be the 4 past tenses, the 4 present tenses, and the 4 future tenses. This way you make sure that you don't get stuck in the theme of always practicing your past tense speaking. You will encourage yourself to move between all of the tenses. So, for instance, if you say that today is a past tense speaking day, what can you practice? Well, think about keeping an audio diary. If you do your speaking practice in the evening, well, you can speak about the day that you have just had. Talk about the things that you did, the conversations that you had, the things that you ate, and the people that you met. If you do your speaking practice in the morning, then think about speaking about the day that you had before. Or you can think back to a specific day or a specific event in your life and do your speaking practice as if you are telling a story about that time. Remember that just because you have practiced speaking about an event once does not mean that you can't do it again. You can get better at those vocabulary choices, get better at those grammar points, and get better at building those sentences. How about speaking about the present? Well, in the present, you can become your own narrator and talk about the things that you are doing. Pick an event from your day, or indeed your whole day, or pick an event from the past and speak about it as if it is happening right now. For instance, you could say, I'm leaving for work now. I lock the door, turn around and click the button to open the car. I hear the car open, walk towards it, open the door and sit down. As I put the keys in the ignition and turn them, I can hear the engine come to life. So here is an example of how you can speak about the present. You could also talk about something like a project that is happening at work. Anything that you can use to speak about the present is useful here. If you want to try something more advanced, then watch the news or read a news article before you start speaking, and then try to explain it in the present as something that is happening right now. Remember that not everything that you say needs to be true. Feel free to be creative and make some of this up. For instance, I am closing the door to the Starship, waving goodbye to Elon Musk, and getting ready to take off into space. We are practicing speaking. Anything that you say, as long as the grammar is good, is okay to use. In fact, the more creative that you are, the more this is going to require you to stretch your vocabulary, and that is only a good thing. The last tense here is the future tense. And of course, we can talk about future plans when we are practicing speaking in the future tense. Speak about your plans for the week ahead, or speak about your plans for a vacation. Speak about anything you are thinking about doing in the future, or indeed, again, make it up. One more thing that you can use to guide your English speaking practice is a random question generator. There are so many random question generators on the internet, and feel free to do an internet search and find your own. However, if you check out the link down in the description to the toolkit on the Breakout Business English website, then you will find a link there to my favorite random question generator. This can have you speaking about anything from the economic policy of your country to, well, your favorite singer. If you are practicing your speaking and you want to make sure that you've got everything correct, then maybe you would like to watch this video here where I talk about one of the most common word choice mistakes that I hear people making every single day, and I'll see you in the next one.